Hi everyone and welcome back to my channel. My name is Ella and today I'm going to be filming my second ever knitting podcast episode. I think I filmed my last one about a month ago, so I have quite a lot of progress on my the knits I showed in that video, as well as some new cast-ons and acquisitions that I'm excited to share. So yeah, let's just get into it. I don't really have anything else to mention. The first finished object I have is the Songbird mittens by Erica Hauser. Now, I actually don't have these physically with me because I gave them to my grandma as a gift for Christmas. And yeah, I won't talk too much about these because I have a whole video on my channel dedicated to the process of that. So if you're curious to learn more about them, there's a video there. But yeah, I'm really happy with how these turned out overall. It was my first ever colorwork project. And I think it was a good place to start with mittens because there's not too much complexity in the construction. It's mainly just like a stockinette tube. I knit these using 2.25mm needles and drops Flora yarn, and that's actually not the recommended needle size. I think she suggests 2.75mm needles. But yeah, I decided to choose those sizes because I saw someone else on YouTube knit these mittens and she like did that exact yarn combination and that needle size, and it was like one of my first projects, so I just really wanted to stay on the safe side because I wasn't really familiar with like picking my own materials yet. I didn't encounter too many troubles with these mittens. It was definitely a bit challenging figuring out how to knit continental in one hand and then throw English style in the other. I decided to do that just to really speed up the colorwork process, and I'm glad I did, and I'm glad I invested in learning that because yeah, I think it will come to benefit me in the future. But yeah, aside from that, it wasn't too bad. I struggled a lot with the DPNs. I just found it really fiddly, and I think my DPNs were also like especially slippery. I don't know if that's true, but they just felt really slippery. So I like kept dropping all of my stitches and it was a bit of a palaver. I think going forward, I would definitely prefer doing magic loop than working with DPNs. I just don't really enjoy it that much. Even though with magic loop, you have to like, rearrange the stitches on the needles quite a lot. I feel like it's definitely still easier for me than using DPNs. So yeah, maybe for my next pair of mittens, I'll try out working with magic loop. But also at this point, I didn't have a interchangeable needle set with all the different cable lengths. So yeah, I was just kind of restricted to what I had, which was DPNs. But I do now have interchangeable needles, which I'll talk about in my yarn, well, not really yarn, but acquisition section. But yeah, that was my first finished object. The second finished object is also a gift knit, so I don't have it physically with me, but I made just a very simple garter stitch scarf for my mum for Christmas. And yeah, this was not a very enjoyable knit. Like, it was a long process. I think I bought the yarn for this in August of 2024 and I didn't finish it until December. So yeah, it was quite a slog, and I worked on it pretty consistently for about a month, and then I just like put it away, got into other projects and didn't really think about it until it was before Christmas and I really wanted to, give it to my mum then. So I picked it back up. But there is quite a noticeable difference in the tension from like the first half of the scarf to like the second half, which isn't ideal. And even just in like both of those sections, like in the section I knit very recently after having knitted a lot of different items since, like there's still lots of uneven tension. So yeah, even though it was my first project, I definitely would not recommend scarves, or at least garter stitch scarves, to like new beginners, because I feel like it's very difficult to keep it very uniform and have nice tension and not have like, crazy larger and smaller sections. But I knit this using 4.5mm needles and this beautiful yarn that I bought in Australia in August. It's quite a rustic yarn though. It's a rustic merino, so I don't know if I would choose it again for like making a scarf, especially because your neck is quite a sensitive area. Thankfully my mum has less sensitivity than I do, so she doesn't find it uncomfortable. Aside from the feel, I really love the colors. I think that they create this like beautiful ombre effect, and yeah, it's just really vibrant and fun. So I actually used some of the scraps I had from the scarf to make myself like a top out of it, which is in my previous podcast video if you're curious. And yeah, it is just a really beautiful yarn. My final finished object was quite a spontaneous cast on. It is the Oslo hat by Petite Knit. I wasn't planning on making this, but I was staying with my friend for 2 weeks and she really wanted to learn how to knit and I was really wanting to teach her. So we decided on choosing a project that we would both work on together so that we could kind of like help each other throughout, and like I could teach her the basic stockinette stitch and then we could learn together doing the decreases and all of the other parts of this hat. So that was a really fun process, teaching her, and her hat is in this like really cool blue and grey colorway, which turned out really well. And for mine, I decided on this variegated hand-dyed yarn that I bought in Australia, and I'm really happy with how it turned out. It's just this nice pink, grey, purple kind of mixture. And I was deciding between this yarn and also just a really basic navy blue. But I'm glad that I went for something a bit different and a bit more exciting because I wear a lot of navy blue, so I'm sure I would have gotten good wear out of it. But I really love the way that this knitted up in the final project. It has just really great stitch definition. It blocked really well. It's also wool from Australia and hand dyed in Australia, so that's really nice to have a little piece of home with me. If you're unfamiliar with the Oslo hat construction, basically you work stockinette until you reach double the size of the brim, and then you fold it and work the cast-on stitches with the live stitches to make the first fold. Then you flip the project so you're working on the wrong side and you knit like 2 centimeters so that you have this like these pearl bumps. Turn the work again, keep working stockinette, and then you work decreases at 4 different points to make it look like this. And yeah, I didn't do a very good job closing in the hole. Overall, I'm really happy with the way that this fits. The wool itself is really comfortable. I don't find it itchy at all. It's pretty soft but still quite sturdy. One thing, however, though, I didn't have 3.5 millimeter DPNs, which I was using for the top of the hat. I only had 3.25, and I think it made my hat like scrunch in just a little bit. So yeah, how I fix it when I wear it is I just pull the hat down lower so it covers my ears and sits like more snugly on my head. And I find that that doesn't make it look as like bulbous. So yeah, definitely just a really good knitting experience overall. And I'm really happy with the finished object. It's very wearable and practical. I still have a couple ends to weave in, but I might not even bother because when I put it on, you can't even tell. So yeah, that's my final finished object. Moving on to my works in progress. The first one I actually mentioned in my previous video and it's still not finished. It is my sweater number 6 by My Favorite Things Knitwear. This sweater is going really well and I'm really happy with how it's turning out. I just haven't found myself to be that motivated to knit it. I've just been more excited by, yeah, more, not necessarily complicated projects, but just projects that I'm learning like new techniques through. This is just like a lot of knitting and stockinette. I have made quite a bit of progress since I last updated you. I finished one sleeve and I added the I-cord edging, which I think turned out pretty well. And I've also made quite a bit of progress on the second sleeve. However, I did encounter a bit of a problem yesterday because I realized that I was working with yarn from 2 different dye lots. Yeah, I noticed that there was quite an obvious change from one ball to the next, which was a bit of a shame. But yeah, I think I bought like 5 balls of this yarn at once, and then a couple weeks later, or maybe even a month later, I bought 2 extra balls. And yeah, there's definitely quite a noticeable difference with at least one of the balls compared to the others. So I'm currently working with this much to finish the sleeve, which I really don't know if it's going to get me to the end. I'm hoping. I also have this gauge swatch that I will unravel and use. So yeah, I'm a bit worried about how this is going to go. My thinking is hopefully I can finish the sleeve and then I can add like the I-cord edging to the neckline with the other ball, because I feel like that will make it look at least purposeful, and also the I-cord edging for the rest of the body, because ideally I wanted to make the body quite a bit longer, because right now it like kind of sits right above my jeans, if they're like mid-rise jeans, and I would like it to be just like a smidge longer, but I don't know if I'm really gonna have the yarn to do that because I don't really want to use 2 different dye lots. So yeah, I'm hoping that like with blocking I can make it a little bit longer, and yeah, just really hoping that I can get through it with this much yarn left. But aside from that, I'm really loving the project still. I love this color. I think it's going to be a really wearable piece. I can see myself wearing it a lot. I have tried it on multiple times and I really like the fit as well. It's like very slightly itchy. But I think if I wear like a long sleeve shirt underneath, which I probably always will, then I will be fine. And like I mentioned in my previous podcast, I omitted the German short row shaping because this was like my first ever sweater and I was just like really confused with how it was working. So yeah, basically it's symmetrical on both sides. And at the moment it has quite like a square neckline, which I don't love, but this yarn has a lot of like stretch to it and I can wear it off the shoulders, which I really like the look of. So I'm going to block it kind of more like this. So when I block it, it should have more of a boat neckline. So I can wear it with like a top like this without too many problems. So I think that's going to work out really nicely, and I kind of prefer it almost to the original neckline. Though I do definitely want to learn how to do German short rows. The I-cord edging will make it look nice and finished and complete. Yeah, so overall, I think the sweater is going really well. It's my first ever sweater and my tension isn't too bad. It's definitely like there's a couple areas where you can see like, yeah, there's more gapey stitches every now and then. But I'm not too worried about that. Also, I got a bit of gapiness at my underarms, but I followed a YouTube video about like reducing the holes at the underarms, and I think like for the size of the stitches, like it's not too bad. So I'm pretty happy with how that technique worked out. I mean, yeah, there's definitely still some gapiness, but I can hopefully fix that when I weave in the ends. But yeah, if you're not familiar with this construction, it's basically just a very simple raglan sweater. And the arms virtually have no decreases. It's just worked, yeah, pretty uniform. And then at the end, there's like one decrease row and then you do the I-cord edging. So it's pretty simple. And there's also not much shaping at the bottom either. It's just like worked uniform around, and then you have a couple decrease rows, I think, and then you finish off with an I-cord edge. So what's unique about it, I think, really is the I-cord edging, and yeah, the raglan increases I think look really nice as well. And I'm knitting this on 7mm needles, and I'm using Carpe Diem yarn, I think it's called, which is a 80% merino and 20% alpaca blend, I'm pretty sure. So it is, yeah, it's really soft and squishy to the touch, a little bit different on my skin, but it is still really nice. So I do anticipate that this will pill a little bit. I've noticed in some areas it kind of already getting a little bit pilly. If you can kind of see like around this area, but that doesn't really bother me all that much. I have like tons of sweaters that are really pilled and I still wear them anyway. Hopefully in the next podcast episode, this will fully be finished. Because I don't have much to go, just finishing the arm and then finishing up the body and the I-cord edging, but I don't anticipate that will take too long. My next project was also kind of a spontaneous cast on. I just really decided one weekend that I wanted to learn how to brioche knit. So I started a scarf, even though I had quite an unpleasant knitting experience knitting my first scarf, but this has been a lot different. I really love knitting brioche. Like I hear of people like not loving brioche, but I find it really fun. Like it keeps me more engaged than stockinette, but it's like still easy enough that I can do like while watching TV or something. I find that this keeps its shape so much better than the garter stitch scarf. I think because it's so like stretchy, like the ribbing makes it so stretchy that it kind of just like, I don't know how to explain it, it just kind of like slinks into one position. I just followed like a pretty basic tutorial on YouTube, and I think I have like 39 stitches that I'm just working, and I'll just keep going until I finish this ball of yarn. I might have to buy a second because I would like to like wrap it around my neck quite a few times, and I don't think that this will be enough. It was 100 grams of yarn, but it's a really pretty alpaca and nylon blend, so it's really soft and I don't find it like irritating at all. Like I actually was like knitting with it behind my neck just to like see how it felt, and it was really soft and nice, so I'm really thankful and glad about that. I really like this color as well. It has like subtle changes from like, yeah, more light to darker blues and to like some purple as well, but it's really subtle, which I appreciate. So I think it's gonna be very wearable, even though it's quite a bright color. I do wear like a lot of blue, and yeah, I think it will fit in well with my wardrobe. One thing I don't love so much about the brioche stitch is that on the other side, it looks kind of messier. Like the loops are not as neat and they're kind of wider, and yeah, you can't see the ribbing as clearly. It just kind of looks like a more of like a blob. But then yeah, on the kind of right side it has the more defined ribs, if you can see what I mean. So yeah, when I wear it, I'll probably just make sure that this side is kind of shown and this side is against my skin. And yeah, I'm really enjoying this. I didn't expect to just love knitting a scarf so much, but it is just like a nice mindless knit, and I'm also just loving the texture and seeing the colors change. So that's also enticing me to this project. But yeah, I'm knitting it on 5mm needles, and the yarn is by the brand Lang Yarns, and it's like the Harmony collection. So yeah, I'll put the specific color in the description box. Really liking this project so far. I'm hoping I can finish it before winter ends so I get some time to wear it this winter. But yeah, hopefully next time I update you it'll be finished. My final cast on is the Spot Sweater by Anne Wetzel. Now, I mentioned this in my like winter project plans video, but I did say that it was kind of going to be a project that I made long into the future, like when I've got some like scrap yarn acquired and I have a bit more practice under my belt. But I just really couldn't stop thinking about the sweater, so I bought the bullet and I just bought the suggested yarn and I started it the other day, and it has been like such a difficult process so far. Like, it's definitely testing my patience a lot. I think I've invested maybe 4 hours, no, like honestly like 6-7 hours into this. I've restarted 4 or 5 times and it's just really quite hard. So this is all I have so far to show for my process. You can see that it is like the pattern is appearing and it is like in the right places. So I am finally getting the hang of it. I'm finally getting acquainted with how to read the pattern. I've seen lots of people's Ravelry notes and lots of other people found it very confusing to read the pattern. Even though she does have like 4 or 5 videos that walk you through like the more tricky steps, I still found it really hard to follow. I think too because I'm like having to knit and purl in alternating rows because yeah, it's not connected in the round just yet. You're also working raglan increases and it's just quite unfamiliar. I'm not used to like working purl rows while doing raglan increases, so I had to kind of learn that technique. And then also making sure the color work lines up while you're increasing is also unfamiliar to me. There's a lot of new techniques and progress is very slow, and I think I'm going to unravel this again because I did make some mistakes and I just would like it to be, you know, as perfect as it can be. I'm okay with there being some mistakes, but because I'm really not that far in, I think it would be good anyway to just restart. And now that I understand the pattern, go back to the beginning and work it again just to make sure it's neat and uniform. For example, in my first color work rows, I was not holding the yarn properly, so I would kind of work one color and then accidentally obstruct it with the next color, so you can't really see some of the stitches. Like, it's really difficult to see, but there's supposed to be another pink line underneath this one, which you can kind of see in the background, but it's obstructed by like a strand of the like more mauvey purple color. But anyway, that's all to say that I am really excited about this project. I think it will be really awesome once it's done, if I can finish it and if I can figure it all out. I've chosen some really lovely yarn, which I'll show you. This is what my box looks like. So you can definitely tell that I'm going for like a pink and brown purple color palette. I was really inspired by this sweater on Pinterest, which is a spot sweater in this like very similar colorway. I do have like more purples and less like white and blacks. But yeah, I hope if my sweater looks anything close to that, I will be thrilled. But yeah, like I mentioned, I'm using the recommended yarn, which is Arwetta Classic for the main color, which you hold together with soft silk mohair. This is 70% kid mohair and 30% silk. I was reading some reviews and it does tend to be like a fluffier mohair. So yeah, I'm curious to see how that will look in the final project, and hopefully it won't kind of obscure the color work too much. But yeah, so you hold these together. And then for like the second color, the accent color, it is, I'm missing one of them, but it's called Pernilla and it is, I'm pretty sure 100% wool. So the colors I chose, I'll put the specifics in the description, but I have like these 4 colors in the Arwetta Classic. This really nice like pink color, a more light ballerina pink, and then 2 different shades of purple and mauve. And then the corresponding mohairs I have are this cream one, this really fun pink bubblegum color, a light, very light purple, and then a deeper one. So I didn't do the best job picking these. For example, I was planning on using this held with this, which I'm not entirely sure how it will look. I'm gonna try and I hope it will work. If not, I might use this to hold with this and buy a darker purple mohair to hold with this, because this doesn't really make all that much sense. I don't really know what I was thinking. I think for some reason I got confused and I thought I was also going to be holding the Pernilla with mohair, so I wanted to make sure that I had like enough light colors to hold with that. Anyway, so we'll see how that goes. But then in the Pernilla I have this fun bubblegum pink and then a brown, and I do, oh here it is, it's right in front of me the whole time. This other light pink, and this is 100% Peruvian Highland wool. So yeah, that is all of the wool I have for this sweater. This like whole box just makes me so happy to look at. It definitely was a bit of an investment buying all this yarn, but I calculated it and I should have exactly enough. And I think it will be really worth it in the end if it turns out how I'm expecting. And yeah, I love the feel of these fibers. The mohair is so luxurious and soft, as well as the Arwetta classic. The Pernilla is a little bit more rustic, but I'm hoping it will have good like stitch definition and you'll be able to clearly see it against the other colors, so it'll stand out well. I also really love like the light heathering it has, and this is like the cheapest yarn of all these, but it has like just beautiful colors and yeah, really nice heathering. So if I like the feel of this, I would definitely be interested in making a full sweater. So yeah, I'm super excited about this. I'm really happy I'm figuring out the pattern finally and can restart and hopefully make it as I'm expecting and imagining in my mind. So yeah, hopefully next time I update you, there'll be some more progress there to share. In terms of its construction, it is just a raglan sweater with twisted rib detailing for the neckline, and I think also the cuffs as well as the body. It is worked back and forth to shape the neckline, so you don't work in the round for I think 12 or 18 rows, something along those lines. But then the rest, I'm hoping, because I've been reading some Ravelry comments, that once you get through the like knitting flat and then you finally join in the round, it's hopefully a lot easier. So I am excited for that. But yeah, that is my final work in progress. And finally, for my acquisitions, I bought my first ever interchangeable needle set, which I was so excited about. I did a little bit of research. I probably should have done more research, but I knew that I wanted metal needles. I wanted cheap or relatively cheap interchangeable needle set. So I did have my eye on the Chiagu needles, but they were just like a little bit out of my budget. I'm sure they're beautiful and I maybe will get them one day in the future. But for now, I settled on the Knit Pro Zing, I want to say, needle set. And these come with 7 different needle sizes. Currently have quite a few pairs on different projects. And I left one of my needles at home with my parents. Just have one 3.5mm needle right now. And these are 5 inches and they have 4 different cables. I'm pretty sure it's 60, 80, 100, and there's 2 80 centimeters, I want to say. And yeah, these are working really well for me so far. I haven't encountered too many problems. When I first got them and used them, I was a bit sad because I realized I had bought 5-inch tips when I had been using a lot of 4-inch needles. So it just felt quite different in my hands, but I've gotten used to them now and they feel perfectly fine and I really love them. So honestly, no regrets about anything. I think even if I had the choice, I would stick with the 5-inch needles because it is just nice having like more room to rest your hands. And I think the colors are really fun. It will be a little tricky, I imagine, like if you have dark wool and you're working on like one of the darker needle tips, but they still look so fun, so I'm not complaining about that. And it comes in this like kind of weird looking case, to be honest, with these like little sheep on it, but it's practical and very easy to carry around, and it also has a zip on the back with some other goodies. So it came with all of these cables as well as like some needle stoppers. I've just put also my own tools in here, so I have my darning needles, this really cute tape measure that my grandma gave me, And what else? I've just been using paper clips as well for my stitch markers. They seem to be working fine. And my sock needles, or you could also use, I use these for my mittens. Yeah, that's all I really have in there. So yeah, I'm very happy to finally have my own interchangeable needle set. I feel like a proper knitter now. And yeah, it's just been so convenient. Like, I know if I start a project, I'll have right materials. I probably will invest in getting some 3mm needles because this small size is 3.5, and I anticipate that I will use 3mm needles in the future. But I'll buy those when I need them. For now, this is perfect. So I would definitely recommend this set. It's pretty reasonably priced compared to many others. It's like a bit of a step up from some like random Amazon retailers, but definitely a lot cheaper than like Chiaogu or some other more expensive brands. So yeah. But yeah, that brings me to the end of this video. I hope you enjoyed watching and hearing about my knit projects. Let me know what you're knitting down below, because whenever I'm watching a knitting podcast, I'm always knitting on something. Make sure to like and subscribe if you want to see more of this content, and stay updated with my projects. But yeah, that's all for today. Thank you so much for watching. Bye!